What is up, everyone, and welcome to Drop In, where we have open, authentic conversations about all things mental health, including what do therapists actually do for their mental health. Dr. Jackie's here. Dr. Jackie, how's life?
Fantastic.
One time you're going to be like, awful, miserable, the worst day of my life.
I mean, doubtful.
Let's bottle up a little bit of Dr. Jackie in our lives, and the bubbliness that comes from your all black aesthetic is always striking.
The black hat aesthetic, lab on the inside.
Lab is coming out of it despite wearing all black all the time. The paradox of life that we live in. But we wanted to have this conversation because us therapists, we show up in these professional contexts and we try to be authentic humans.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're more in the interpersonal side of psychotherapy, the humanistic side. You know, there's nothing wrong. Some therapists show up and think of themselves as the expert.
Sure.
And in some ways, you go to school for forever, you collect all these experiences, thousands of conversations you have about human behavior, I hope to some degree. But then you go out and you live your life.
Right.
How are therapists living?
The same way everybody else is.
Damn right. The exact same way everyone else is.
We are human.
With sort of, and it's like we talked about the language we were going to go through this. It's not to say any behavior is good or bad, but within the context of how helpful is it for your mental health, that's where we kind of rate, as it were. So we decided we were going to go point by point of naming behaviors, activities, things we actually do. And the other person is going to rate how good we think it is for their mental health.
Yes.
Would you like to go first or defer to the second half?
Ooh. Are we going to alternate?
We're alternating.
Okay.
Football season is among us, so if you know coin flip in football, that's how it works.
Okay. I will defer. You go first.
You're going to defer to me.
Yeah.
And now I'm stuck with the dilemma of, do I pick a activity / behavior that I do that maybe is going to be frowned upon, in air quotes? But I'm going to start off with one that I definitely believe in.
Okay.
Again, these are behaviors we actually do. Taking a lap, walking around the neighborhood.
Okay.
So how do you think that impacts my mental health? And of course, we'll expand to talk about data and research and things we know generally.
Sure. I would say for you that is a 9. On a scale of 1 to 10, I say that's a 9.
Of how effective you think that is for my mental health?
For you, specifically.
Have there been observations you've noticed?
Yes.
Do you care to share?
On the days that you are particularly stressed or your OCD is like very much front and center, which is not super frequent, honestly. But on the days that I know that your symptoms are like pretty present, that is one of the best things that I have noticed for you specifically. When you go out, you're usually on a pretty high level intensity.
So this isn't a light stroll?
This is not a light stroll. I like envision in my mind you just like power walking through the neighborhood, just like full arms going at the same time. Just full jetting out of the house. But by the time you get back, you're usually, I mean, by no means are you at like a perfect, level, because I don't think any of us ever are. But I would say that that is the thing that I notice is one of the more helpful things for you, is like getting some of that energy out, because by the time you get back, whether it's 1 lap or 15 or however many laps you do or need at that moment, usually you are at a much more like, I wouldn't say quite Zen level, but you are more close to baseline.
I haven't reached enlightenment yet, huh? I literally, and it's funny how you say this because I've never put this together. It literally feels like steam, like coming out my ears.
I mean,
Of like,
I just picture like you with like a jetpack with like full steam, like, you know, the running emoji with like the
Yes.
person with like the cloud behind them. That's literally what I picture for your like walks when you were on a level 10.
it checks a lot of boxes that we know psychologically help.
Mhm.
Movement.
Yeah.
We just know of all the levers to pull for human behavior that we know scientifically can help your mental health. Movement's one of them. Sunlight.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter if it's cloudy, you're getting a lot of sunlight exposure.
Yep.
And then allowing sort of the context of what you see, which I know we're going to get into because I know probably what's coming on this list, to change and vary up the environment.
Yes.
But I literally feel like like an old like train steam engine. By the time I get back, again, everyone's looking for like, oh, I went for a walk and I still had my intrusive thoughts.
Mhm.
That's not really what we're talking about. We're like, was it at the same degree
Right.
30 minutes later, 20 minutes later, even 10 minutes later, whatever,
Yeah.
that it was when you left?
Right.
Because that is a lot of the things I talk about with clients. It's like, well, I still was having, I was still anxious. And I'm like, if you went for a 30-minute walk and all your intrusive thoughts were washed out, I'd be like, you are so lucky.
Yeah.
I'm like,
That's unheard of.
that must be nuts. That you went from like a 10 to a 0.
Right.
That's not the reality of the things we'll get into.
Mhm.
The reality is, did it come down a point or two? Because if it even came down 1 point, it was worth your time.
Right.
It was worth your energy.
And those are conversations that I have with my clients all the time, of like managing your expectations when it comes to coping tools. Because if your expectation is, that you are going to go from a level 10 intensity down to a 0 after like deep breathing for a minute or walking or doing whatever, that's not realistic. So thinking, yes, if it comes down, and through the lens of like a scientist or an experimenter, looking at what was my intensity level before I started this, and then what was my intensity level after. And if it came down 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, fantastic. Let's keep trying that.
Exactly. And that's the nuance of what we're going to sort of get into today. All right. So walking, you say it's really helpful for me. I say it's helpful, and we say it's helpful generally for humans.
Sure.
What's this first activity behavior you got?
I don't think you will be surprised by this one.
I think I know.
Okay, take a guess.
Going for drives.
Yes.
I knew it. Yeah. Explain the behavior.
Okay. So I actually was thinking about this a lot, of like when I started doing this, and I literally have been doing this since I first started driving. However, it has changed in terms of the context of it. And I'll kind of give you the backstory on that. So growing up in my house, I grew up in a pretty like strict household, I would say. And me being the person that I was, undiagnosed ADHD, had a lot of big feelings, pretty angry as a human, especially as like a teen. I had a lot of like pent up feelings. I often felt like a caged animal in my home. So when I got a car and a license, to me, that felt like freedom. So I would literally, sure, I would hang out with my friends or do whatever I was doing, but I would also just leave my house and drive aimlessly or drive to the beach, which was like 30 minutes from our house. Didn't matter if it was the dead of winter, I would just go and drive to the beach or to, go and explore new areas or new neighborhoods or new whatever it was, just to like be out of the house, be by myself, and kind of process through my thoughts and have some like Zen alone time. So for me, that was freedom at that time. And I think that kind of stuck because even when I had like moved out of my house and I was living on my own or, living with other people, whatever, I still always did that. That was always my escape. Anytime I needed to process through anything or anytime I just kind of like you were talking about needed a change of scenery or a change of perspective, I would just drive and go new places or not even with a destination in mind, just listening to music, listening to podcasts. Sometimes when I'm super overstimulated, I listen to nothing. And that is how I know I am super overstimulated.
I just heard the turn signal, like like I heard that in my mind, and I agree. There's something regulating. Like when I can hear my turn signal, I know my brain is kind of like flat.
Yes, exactly. So now it's interesting how it has kind of changed over time, where when I was younger, it was an escape from my reality. And now it's much more of I either want to process something and just have some like space and time as I am driving down a road, driving down, our beach road down here is A1A. And on one side of the road, for a lot of that, you have just beach that you can see. And the beach is super regulating for me, which is a whole other one. But just being able to like see the ocean and see nature, see the trees, a lot of like the canopy trees, right? There's something so regulating about that for me. And it also just gives me such a different perspective than being inside of a house.
I think this for you is also a 9 out of 10. I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
I think it's a 9 out of 10 for your mental health. And this is literally a question I don't know because I've never like asked you on this. How do you, and these are separate columns, right?
Yeah.
9 out of 10 for your mental health. How do you think it impacts productivity?
That's actually a really good question. And if I'm being real, I would say it varies depending on the day and depending on the type of drive that I am on.
These drives are not like all of a sudden I'll check Jackie's dot, as it were. Yes, we share location, but sometimes I'll check Jackie's dot and I'm like, she gone. Like
45 minutes away.
She's north of West Palm Beach at this point. Is she gone? She way up there. She's getting into the Treasure Coast. A lot of people listening are like, I don't know what you're talking about. She's out of South Florida. She gone.
So productivity wise, interestingly enough, some of my most productive moments are during my drives. Because if I'm listening to a podcast, if I am listening to something that I am learning from, I often will get a lot of creative ideas, whether it's like the days where you'll say, how did you just like film 5 videos in a day? It's usually after I go for a drive because I will get like a flood of ideas, or that because it is my like Zen space, I will be very creative in those moments. And other times, not so much. It's just I wasted 2 hours. Well, I won't say wasted because it helped my mental health in some way, but I did nothing quote unquote productive for those 2 hours.
It's not all about productivity, but I think of these things.
Sure.
Right.
And especially for me.
And I feel like I've observed that for you of like sometimes, and any activity that we talk about can be, it can be avoidance of a task
Totally.
that we just need to soak into.
Mm-hmm.
But that's productivity. For mental health,
Right.
and this is one where it's like, as everything is, I don't know that I would globally recommend. This isn't
Right.
something I have any research data, but you can pick apart the elements of why it would be helpful for a specific person. Changing scenery, number one. Again, the visual cortex, very powerful. You change the scenery, you can often change your mind.
Yep.
Interesting novel stimuli, architecture,
Mm-hmm.
plant life, nature even. And this is the cool thing of the drive we get to go on A1A.
Yeah.
But people have this in mountain ranges, and you drive through little forests and parks, and similar thing. So it's like I can see the elements it checks, but couldn't say it's a global. It's an individual difference activity of
Totally.
For me, you know how I am. Hate being in the car.
You are a caged animal in the car.
As you said that, I had such a nice perspective of how you feel in the car, freedom, and I feel the dead ass opposite.
Yeah.
Get me out of this car.
Right.
Which ironically, I feel the same on a boat.
Yeah.
Get me off this boat.
Yeah.
I always say I only like going on a boat so I can get my ass in the water.
Right.
Drop me off at the reef. You guys go sit on that boat for hours, rocking back and forth. No, thank you. But this is the context of why it's sort of so interesting.
Yeah.
But should probably keep the show moving here.
Yeah, give me another one.
First thing in the morning, sitting on the couch, scrolling social media.
Yep. That is your go-to.
Oh, and I don't love that I do that.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I'll say. My thought is I need to get up out of this bed.
Mm-hmm.
And my breadcrumbing is just get from the bed to the couch.
Mm-hmm.
This is me in full defense, and I'm prepared for everything that might come our way. So I get from the bed to the couch, and then sometimes up to an hour of just TV's on, ESPN,
right.
of course.
ESPN on a loop.
Of course,
at
ESPN. And scrolling all of social media.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my algorithm, my feed, you're going to get a little bit of comedy. You're going to get some science.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get some political things. You're going to get some horrific events that you can't turn away from. You're also going to get some like kitten and puppy videos.
Yeah.
That's my feed.
Are you ready for me to rate this?
I'm ready. I'm ready for the rating.
Okay. I would say that this is probably, if I'm being generous, a 3.
Oh, okay.
If I'm not, a 1 or a 2.
What are your concerns about this?
So my first concern is the first thing that you are seeing, the first thing that you are putting into your brain that is starting off your day and your mental space is videos that are likely either triggering or pulling you in, because that is what social media is, right? Like things that are trying to pull you in. So there are a lot of the headlines, a lot of, like you said, either the, political things or the videos of intense moments or
the traumas of the world.
Yeah. Right. Like it's almost like your version of a news feed, but even more intense in a way. So those aspects definitely are concerning, because then you are starting your mindset for that day on that note. The caveat of that I will say, 2 things actually. One, as a content creator, I think there is an element of, yes, you need to be on social media to get ideas and to see what's trending, to see like what people are talking about, what is going on in the world, so that way you can, curate your own content and get ideas for that. So as a content creator, I understand part of the draw for that and how that might be helpful and productive in some aspects. The other side of that too, that I will say, is if that is the thing that helps you get out of bed, because as someone who also struggles with getting out of bed and turning my brain on in the morning, if that is the step that you have to take in order to get to the next step, versus I'm just going to lay in bed all day and feel bad about myself, I would choose that over the latter. And for a lot of people, whether that's, mental health related or otherwise, if that is the struggle for you to get out of bed, who am I to say that that is a quote unquote bad choice?
Yeah, because we want people to be able to get out of bed to be able to start the dominoes of having a purposeful day, which is not defined necessarily by me or you, but we know human beings do better when they have some sort of direction and purpose to their day.
Sure.
Again, I believe that's individually created, but if you're staying locked into bed, it's hard. Talk about the visual cortex, we talk about moving, we talk about all the things. It's harder to. I agree with you 100%. I think my self-assessment where there is like, it's rarely helpful. Rarely ever helpful. And I agree with you of like, even if I prolonged, going on social media by a few hours, and the times I do that, it's exponentially better for me. Of waking up first thing and going through like up to an hour. And sometimes it is like 10, 15 minutes, but there have been times a full hour goes by. And we're also not, we should caveat, neither one of us are morning people.
Yeah,
We don't
not even a
schedule,
little bit.
we don't schedule early morning sessions, none of that. So if you're a morning person, you're probably like, what are you talking about?
Right.
But for all of us non-morning people, hello, welcome to the club. So neither one of us like pop out of bed and whatever. But I agree. There's any number of behaviors I could self-select, and almost all of them would be better for me than going on social media first thing. All right, point taken. Next.
It's interesting. So even jumping off of that, as someone who also can get sucked into the social media doom scroll hole first thing in the morning, one of the alternatives to this that I have gotten into a good rhythm of at certain points and then, fallen off, was doing a gratitude practice outside every morning. That was something that, have I been doing that recently? In full transparency, no. Is it something that I want to get back to? Yes.
Is that what you're doing outside on the porch?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's so funny because
It's so funny that you don't even actually know that, because we've never really like talked about that.
I've known at times you're journaling. I didn't know that was a gratitude practice, but I've also seen at times that you're like scheduling and planning.
Right.
And
Which
I
is
just
a whole other
Sure.
thing that, like, yes, that has been part of like my routine at different points, and that's a different actually thing on my checklist of things to do.
Wait, get there.
But yes, that is what I do when I sit out on the back porch in the morning.
Gratitude practice, research backed, 10 out of 10. It's hard for me to think of low lift, low cost, backed by science and research to elevate mood, help with focus, than a gratitude practice, which is always, you got to emphasize this word for people, because they're like, what if I'm not grateful? What if I'm pissed off at the world? We all are to some degree. It's a practice.
Yes.
And we have lots of research evidence to suggest how good it is for your mental well-being.
And some days are harder than others, especially when you are in a depressive episode, you're in a lower mood state, you're not feeling well, there are all the things that go on, right? Like something challenging is going on in your world and in your life, or you're not in the place that you want to be. It is challenging to find the moments of gratitude on days like that, or during, periods of your life that are like that. And the thing that I will say is those are actually the times that it is most helpful for me, is when it is the hardest. And now I've gotten into a practice where I've been doing that for so many years now, like probably, let me think about that actually. I've actually been doing that for over 10 years. And again, am I super consistent with it? No, I'm not. There have been years where I have been like pretty consistent, where more days than not, I have done that. I've sat outside in the morning or at night and journaled some sort of gratitude.
When you say some sort of gratitude, specifically, what are you doing?
So and this is the interesting piece, it has looked different at different periods of time.
Give the people a prompt. Give the people an idea.
At certain points, especially when it is extra challenging, or I'm short on time, or, I just need this done kind of quick, I will literally list 3 things that I am grateful for. List form, bullet form. I'm grateful that I woke up today. I am grateful that I have a roof over my head. I'm grateful that, I have a partner that is supportive. Period. The end. That's it. Took 10 seconds. Other times it's longer. It is a full journal where sometimes I do have to brain dump first the bad, the hard, the challenging. This is like what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm processing through. And then I try to then shift it and turn it more to the gratitude side of things of, I'm going through a really difficult time, or I'm really frustrated with, my, home life, or my relationship, my whatever is going on at that time, to give myself some validation, right? Of like, these are hard things that I'm actually dealing with. And somebody held the door open for me today. I was able to get out of the house. I am able to, go to the gym and work out. And those are the things.
The and is everything, right?
Right.
Because I agree. It's like usually within our mind, we get sucked into this horrible thing, this challenging thing, this horrible thing. And just is that light to say, and I can afford to live in my home, and I have a vehicle that I can go for drives, and I live, within a 10-minute drive of the ocean, whatever it might be. It doesn't matter what it might be.
Sure.
But you could start from somewhere, and the and sort of allows you to pivot. But I even emphasize, now that I know that that's what you're doing out on the porch, my feeling is the times you come off the porch, you seem more energized. And I'm not ranking or whatever, but I've noticed more sort of consistent like energy forward than necessarily when you come back from a drive.
Yeah.
But again, variation, and you're the best gauge of that, and et cetera. But I don't always know what you're doing out on that porch. And I believe we got to give our partners privacy and space, let them breathe a little bit. And we're both pretty independent humans that we need a certain amount of privacy and space to go forward. It's a really good one. I'm excited for this one.
Okay.
We also both made lists of what we observed the other to do, and we're going to fill that in at the end when we're sort of done of like what things we missed. Club hopping / bar hopping on a Friday night.
I had that on my list for you.
This should be no surprise to anybody tuning in. I am an extrovert. Like
12 out of 10 extrovert.
To overstimulate this being, I would love to see it. Never heard of her.
Does not exist. The limit does not exist.
I love live music. Give me a DJ. Some people are like, oh my gosh, like I'm about to eat dinner and the DJ starts. I'm already clapping. I'm already clapping to the beat. Appetizers are coming in. I'm sitting there like,
Hype.
I am hyped. Drop the beat on me before the dumplings hit. I'm ready to go. I can't explain it another way. The DJ era of like within the appetizers sort of happy hour was made for people like me. I'll start to get this itch on like Friday late morning, like
And confirm.
like 10:30, 11 a.m. I start to hear I start to hear it sort of hit, and I'm like, gosh, get me in a happy hour appetizer and let me be here for 35 minutes and then sprint out the door to the next place. Here we go.
Yeah.
This, and some people are listening to this and they're like, who the hell is this creature I'm listening to? But I love bopping around. Oh, I hear a band across the street now. Am I hearing Country Roads playing? Sure, let me go belt that out like I'm from West Virginia.
Yeah. And when we go out, or when you go out by yourself, because sometimes that happens too, that I'm like, I need a break, and you go and do your thing. Justin goes literally to like 6+ places in a night because it's like 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there, on to the next place. Give me more of an atmosphere, the next vibe, soaking in all of the energy from each different place and each different vibe and genre of the place. You are soaking in all of that energy. Like, it literally makes me think of like when you're playing like Mario and you get like the mushroom and you like go and get energized. That is literally you at each place. You just like get a mushroom everywhere you go.
That make everybody listening be like, that guy definitely does drugs. I do not. Do not.
Justin's drug is social environments.
The music and I think the music's a huge caveat here of like, I can bop into a place that doesn't have music, but it's not the same.
Right.
Live DJ, live music is the places I'm like, boom, 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 like zigzagging around to. A sports bar, sure. You got all the screens up. I'm watching Sporty McSportster, especially if the sports game is live.
Yes.
I need to get into this live reality TV viewing that they're starting to do at the bar and the club. I'd be a big fan of that too.
I actually really need to do that.
The Love Island live from the club, like I'm a fan. I'll be there. I'll boo. I'll cheer. Like that also suits me. Anyway, I go on and on, but what would you rate this for me? And I should say, yes, I am a social drinker.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the point of this? No. Do I go out sometimes and have no drinks or like one drink? Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. I would say for you, this is, I'm going to say somewhere between an 8 and a 10, depending on what we have to do the next day and
go late.
Right, like how much sleep you get and the quality of sleep, which of course depends on all the factors, alcohol being one of them, all the water intake being another, the sleep and the quality of sleep, all of the different factors. So like, yes, I think you need a social environment and you need that fix on a regular basis, because I notice if and when like you or we don't go out, your energy is just slowly depleting. Like you are just getting smaller and more pathetic as the days go by.
It's such a release. And I know some people might hear this and they might think, grow up. But I think this is the individual difference of like what fills your cup
Yeah.
and is a shame. And we'll get into some other things that people think are like you need to grow up from. But I always thought like when I was in undergrad and I would bounce from this party to this bar to this club of like the energy of it always did something for me. So I could go back on Sunday night and start studying. And I took my academics seriously, ask anybody I went to college with, but that was the balance of things. Just like
Yeah.
I take my work seriously as a therapist. But to me, with no sort of release and sort of like input of like just like moving, dancing, enjoying, yeah, there's something missing.
Yeah.
There's something missing of like, I love a good party. I love a good dance atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I can't see being 55 and me being like, yeah, I don't care about live music or that environment anymore, which is weird to say out loud. Because do I picture 55-year-olds, you know, getting amped at the DJ starting spinning, you know, before the appetizer comes out? No, but maybe that is our generation in some ways.
No, I feel like that is important though, because I feel similarly. I mean, I'm definitely not on the same level as you in terms of I've never met anyone as extroverted as you, where like you truly get so much energy from being out and being like in those environments. I feel similarly, but you're like on a different level. Like,
yeah. And I think people listening in feel the same of like, oh, that for me, that's once a month or once
Sure.
every few months. I
Right.
go out and have a great time with my friends, girls. All of us get babysitters or
Totally.
parents to watch the kids and we go out. I think I something about a Friday night. I don't know what it is. Not even a Saturday.
Yeah.
A Friday night is just the most amped. Anywho, what do you got next for me?
All right. Should we go relatively adaptive, healthy?
Listen, this is up to you. There are no rules to this thing.
Well, I think one of the things that we should talk about, because it is important, I think, for both of us, is exercise.
Yeah.
And I think that also looks different depending on what it is that we're needing in the moment. Like sometimes I need a heavy lift session where I am just pushing weight and feeling strong and getting out pent up energy or aggression or whatever it is. If I am pissed in a moment, I need to go to the gym and like leg press. Or sometimes it is I have no energy and I just need some like movement so I don't feel so stagnant, walk around the block. Other times it's I feel very stiff and I feel like I just need to sweat out some toxins at hot yoga. But I feel like this is something that both of us actually really engage with pretty consistently. And when we don't, we both feel it.
Big time. And our Venn diagrams are shaped a little different of what exercise is what. In the middle of our Venn diagram is hot yoga. That's where we collide. And I talk about this with the couples I see as a couples therapist of like, I do think it's important to have one activity. And it doesn't have to be exercise. One activity, you and your partner, you find the Venn diagram of like both of us.
Yeah.
Get something out of this, enjoy this, whatever. I think a activity is important and you got to experiment. For us in the exercise room, 100% hot yoga.
Yeah.
Every time we walk out of hot yoga, say the same things over and over. Boy, we needed that.
Yeah.
I feel so much better.
Yep.
And we should tell people we do more yin and Raja yoga is the shala that we go to, what they teach, which isn't vinyasa. It's not fast. It's not this
flowy
exercise yoga where there's weights. If you love that, I love that you love that.
Right.
But we do very slow holding postures, breath work, asanas. And so it's a very meditative, slow, hold, slow down yoga. And it is hot.
Yes.
Which again, there's many forms of yoga. I couldn't preach its praises enough.
Yeah, I feel the same.
And both of us respect individual differences and know it exists. But if there was one activity I made everyone try it's 100% yoga, but I also would be curious to get them to try hot yoga and not wild hot. We don't go to
No,
one of these Kundalini
No.
yogas that are like absurd, but you get in there and you do sweat and it opens up your body more. I am not flexible at all. It makes the postures sort of easier because the warmth is warming up the fascia, the muscles, and like you can sort of sink into it more. But we have talked about there feels like there's something, and we know through research now with sauna and all this, there's something additive about the sweating
Yeah.
for the detoxing of the body. And there's research to support that. And you might sweat in non-hot yoga, and that's great too.
Right.
But that's a long-winded way to say, as we were talking about this or making these lists separately, hot yoga came to mind first. Of like, that is like the peak sort of thing we both do where every single time how good we feel after.
Yes. 100%.
Lifting, how do you feel after lifting?
Lifting has been a constant for me, interestingly enough, since college. So I often feel strong and empowered after lifting. Like that is something that for me has been a confidence builder, not just, oh, I look good so I feel confident, but a confidence booster of I have improved in this area, or I have, you know, lifted heavier than I once did. And I am, you know, growing in this way. I've been consistent with moving my body in this way for X number of months at a time. So for me, it often feels empowering, and it's a good way of just getting energy out and also giving me energy.
Right. And I've noticed that for you. Absolutely. When I see you pushing up those plates on the leg press, you're not a big grunter.
No.
Ugh.
But what is happening in my headphones is a lot of grunting.
Listen, it's all about breath work, so I'm not judging people that do grunt. I breathe out pretty heavily. But there's an individual difference between us. Lifting, I enjoy enough to do it. We're going to this new primarily lifting gym, but I don't feel good in my body in the long run when I'm just lifting. It adds a
Right.
stiffness and a tightness for me. And again, I think lifting and having strong muscles unequivocally is good for your health. But for me, the times I feel best in my body are more cardio heavy and more flexibility heavy sort of movements. And I still lift. I go, gosh, recently I've been going like 3-4 times a week.
Yeah.
But I knowing myself and all these cycles and now being 40, when it's a lift heavy movement sort of cycle for me in the pie chart, I don't usually feel as good in my body. I start to feel too stiff
Yeah.
and less limber is the only way I can word it.
It's interesting because I notice for you that you kind of cycle through like cardio heavy type workouts, and then you'll like switch for a couple of months to more like lifting heavy for a couple of months, depending on like what it is that your body is needing or what it is that your like brain is needing. And again, even like inflammation wise, because sometimes when you do too much cardio, you get more inflamed. And it makes me think a lot too. I remember like having this conversation with a client yesterday too, of sometimes it feels like a lot to bring yourself to do a certain type of workout when you are low energy or on the harder days. And so having different aspects of exercise or movement, as opposed to I have to lift or I have to exercise for X number of minutes every single day, blah, 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 whatever, like that isn't sustainable, because the reality of life is that doesn't always happen. Things come up, things happen, your schedule changes, plans change, you know, people get sick, blah, blah, blah. But having some form of movement, whether that is stretching for 5 minutes while you are in bed, or, you know, doing a couple of air squats while you brush your teeth, or just something to that effect, so that there is the lower energy option days of going for a walk.
I just died because I agree 100% with everything you're saying. And then I just pictured doing air squats while I'm brushing my teeth. And for some reason in my vision, my toothbrush smacked against the counter. And I'm like, I think I'll pass with that one, Dr. Jackie. I think I'm going to pass. But I 100% agree, because it's about being adaptive.
Right.
And some people will argue, and we don't agree with them, of that's just a lack of discipline. You better be in that gym lifting every single day, and I don't care what. I see these videos all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I would agree for some people that mindset works.
Mm-hmm.
For other people, it's about having other levers and not it being completely black or white.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't go to the gym today and lift. What's stopping me from doing laps around my neighborhood, walking?
Right.
What's stopping me from doing 50 air squats in my living room?
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's like you have more levers, and we're more in the camp of psychologists of like being adaptive, having other alternatives, and having no judgment to those. Okay, I didn't make the gym today. Things got busier or whatever, but I can do, I can walk for 20 minutes around my apartment complex.
Mm-hmm. I
Great.
got some form of movement.
Awesome.
Even if it was for 5 minutes might actually boost your mood a lot more than 0 minutes.
Oh, absolutely. And they've done those studies.
Mm-hmm.
There's a study out there, and gosh, I would have to like go find it, but it was relative of having people like run up these stairs that were at their work environment.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a really short, like as fast as you can, like 30 seconds or 40 seconds, however long. And then they measured people's like energy levels and mood like hours later.
Mm-hmm.
It was 30 to 40 seconds.
Yep.
And they were reporting like higher levels and all these things. And I just think we need to get out of the mindset that if I'm not doing the latest and greatest workout for 45 minutes or an hour, then what's the point?
Right.
I don't think that helps the majority of people. No. I really don't. Mm-hmm. And our sort of case study with that is working with, thousands of people in psychotherapy, and you see the differences of people who are working in adaptive strategies of movement versus people who really have to be black and white. And you just see more movement over the long haul with adaptive strategies.
Totally.
Maybe we should collect data on it, and that would back it up even more. But we'll go more into rapid fire.
Okay.
Because we got this list is pretty long. We got listener questions to go to. Again, behaviors that we actually do. Playing video games. Nintendo specifically is what I play. Love Legend of Zelda. We'll play every Legend of Zelda game. What do you think playing video games for me?
6.
I think that's accurate. I enjoy the storytelling, enjoy the puzzling. I don't compete against other people online, but video games, there's so many different forms. There's so many different types out there. Some people, it becomes more social because you engage and play with your friends online, and then you're communicating this and that. But anybody who's played a video game will know like what that video game does and access for you. Sometimes you're like sweating, which we know Mario Kart, I guess, is like the most stressful game, and we love Mario Kart. But like solving puzzles and playing Legend of Zelda and watching your character like level up and getting different weapons, it's exploratory, it's fun. But I agree, it's not consistently like a 9 or a 10. Sometimes I leave feeling like a little tired. Sometimes I leave feeling excited. But overall, it's something sort of regulating. Like I would agree, I'd put it around a 6 or 7 for me.
Yeah. I'm just gonna lump all of these together because they're somewhat, well, some of these, you'll see what I mean. Cleaning, organizing, or redecorating the house.
I mean, you didn't say redecorating. Y'all, I never know how the general landscape of my living room is going to change week to week. All of a sudden, and I'm colorblind, which truly I'm color deficient.
Yeah.
I see some colors and I don't see other colors. But all of a sudden I'm like, is it more brown in here? Where did all these where did my favorite pillow go? And you're like, that pillow's gone. Say bye to it.
you never.
See you never. Hope you enjoyed napping with that glow. We're gonna nap with it again. All of a sudden things are brown. All of a sudden things are like shiny, and then they're not shiny. They become more matte. But I agree. The reorganizing, cleaning, redecorating, these are different things.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm kind of in the same range of like maybe a 6 for
Mhm.
you. Of like, I've seen it be helpful. I've seen it sort of refresh you in
Mhm.
some ways. Probably cleaning being more refreshing.
Yeah.
The redecorating, I don't think that sticks as long as you like it to.
No, and I think a lot of times that is more avoidance based of
Yeah.
like my brain just like wants to go down like a rabbit hole of aesthetics and something aesthetically pleasing to get a dopamine hit. So, and a lot of times that ends up taking more time than I want it to. So,
And for you, yeah, I'd rank cleaning as the most helpful.
Mhm.
Organizing right there. Like maybe those
Mhm.
two are tied. And the decorating, I'm not as convinced.
I would agree with that.
It'd be interesting to have some data, but I know there's some data out there with like cleaning and organizing to be helpful.
Yeah, especially as like a productive activity that also feels satisfying. Like you get the energy, like movement aspect of like walking around, cleaning, vacuuming, like folding things, whatever. But also then it is, yes, I checked this off my list. I feel better. My environment is less cluttered. I'm more focused.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll give you one that I do that's like in that range, and it's sorting, collecting my basketball cards.
Mm-hmm.
Sorting, collecting, organizing. It's a nostalgia thing for me. It's
Yeah.
tied into my own grief. Me and my brother loved collecting sports cards, but specifically basketball cards. And a few years ago, I found like a box I thought was gone of like his most prized like cards, and it like re-sparked something in my brain of like, God, I love sports. I watch sports all the time, too much,
Mhm.
maybe. I'm not that to say it is too much because it's exciting and whatever.
Yeah.
But the cards themselves, some of them are like literally the card you're holding in your hand is like 25, 30 years old. It has the nostalgia, it has the artwork, it has this player, from a long time ago. And then I sort them by year, I sort them by team. And yeah, it's something that, again, it's like a hobby, like collecting Pokemon cards or anything else that's wrapped up, I think, for people in nostalgia.
Yeah. I don't know that I could necessarily give that a number specifically. I would say it's probably in that like mid to high range, just because I think it's important that you have like hobbies or things that feel connecting for you. And especially when it is something that feels connecting to the people that, you don't have physically here anymore. I think that's so important to like have those moments of connection and memories that come from that. So I think it depends on the day and what you're using it for, I guess, for you and your mental health. But I definitely would say that that's higher on the list because I think it's just super important that you have that.
I'll give a 30-second rundown, and I know our listeners don't care at all. I got a Mark Price. You don't even know who Mark Price is. 10, but with the old Cleveland Coliseum. So the reason why, like, this card is literally from 1992. Were you alive then? But my dad used to take me to basketball games there. It was like the first sporting events I ever went to. But then you can get like the little cards rated and stuff. But every time I look at this, I think of my dad and my brother and going to that old Coliseum, which doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, I agree. Like, it's sort of hard to rank, but I think hobbies are important.
Right.
And we notice that all the time with our clients. Of clients that have hobbies, it's
Mhm.
like good coping, regulation,
Right.
transitioning the mind versus people who struggle to have any hobby at all.
Right.
It gets a little concerning of like, what can we put energy into?
I feel like that's such a cool one, especially for you too, because the connections that you have and the memories that go with them, like for me, that's awesome. Like when I get to like open cards with you and like we get excited and like I have no idea what I'm looking at, but like you do. And I know that like if something is a different color, then it's cool. Or if it has like a cool design, then it's like good. But even within that, like I feel like you tell me so many stories based off of like cards and the hobbies that you have that I get a lot more of like your memories and your backstory and the moments that you had that connect with like your dad or your brother. So I love that for you.
There's nothing more at the core of a hobby being cool when someone can explain it to you in a nuanced way.
Mhm.
Like I've never been into birds my whole life until one of my close friends and his partner were really into birds. And then all of a sudden I'm listening to the calls of birds outside. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like learning something here. But
Mhm.
I always think that's like the essence of a hobby. What do you got?
Planning and organizing my week and color coding all the things.
I think it's helpful for you, and I think it's helpful for most people. I'd give it like a 7. I think there comes a time where it's like you got to sort of pivot from like planning and planning and planning to doing.
Mhm.
And sometimes I see you sort of like if you're shifting a car, like that shifter can be sort of hard
Mhm.
because planning can feel safe, but doing can feel difficult.
Mhm.
But I think overall it's helpful for people,
Yeah.
especially if you have a set time every Sunday night or whatever it is. I plan out my week. Here's what I'm doing. Like I'm a fan of it and think in general it helps.
Yeah, I would agree. I think for me, especially with my ADHD, it helps a lot with one, building momentum because I like can get excited about making it pretty and at least something aesthetically pleasing will then, hopefully translate. But also planning ahead helps with the decision fatigue in the moment if I can just follow something. But yes, I agree. I think there's elements of is this actually going to translate? But for the most part, I would say that is a positive.
Maybe we'll go into saying whether it's generally helpful or generally not. Okay. These were the final things I had on my list. Oh, napping on my office floor. I would say that's maybe weekly. I used to do it more, but I would say now maybe it's like a couple times, maybe more than that a month.
Mm.
But it is something I do.
Yeah. I would say that's generally helpful, especially for you to slow down.
The slowing down, and I've noticed a big help of like the neurological stuff. It helps me immensely with my Chiari, and especially when I'm having like a high pressure day.
Going to coffee shops.
Helpful, generally helpful, especially for you. I'll add a related one: having a fresh iced coffee at 5 p.m. I love getting the rebellious iced coffee when you know you're so not allowed. Like there's something about like that punk rock side of like, I'm getting the iced coffee. It's 4:45. What are you gonna do about it?
Full caution to the wind.
I don't think it's good for me, but I do it.
Agreed. Binging Housewives or real estate shows.
I'm surprised. We should have had more time to process this, and I'm like disappointed it's coming up late. You love people screaming in the background. You know
what? It is in my New York nature that it just literally feels like home.
I love when I open the front door of the house and I just hear women screaming at each other. 9 times out of 10, I open the front door, I just hear women screaming at each other. And I get sucked into the plots too of like who's screaming at who on this Real Housewives. What season is this? Where are these people? What do they do? What are their hobbies? Who doesn't like who? I get sucked in. I'm not even going to lie. But you just, I don't know how you do it. 'Cause you're sitting there with your laptop. You're not even watching.
Right.
You're doing 100 other business activities and stuff, but there's just people screaming at each other.
Yeah, it's
on the
my
TV.
it's my version of background noise. It just blends in. It really does. Like it feels very New York to me.
That's like I think it works for you. I think that's our one rule of like going to bed. You're a TV sleeper. I'm a non-TV
Yeah.
sleeper. That is our biggest conflict in our marriage, bar none. But that is my one rule of like no people screaming at each other. Put on the baking show, put on something else. For me, which is ironic, we talked about overstimulation, but something about people screaming at each other that I don't like.
Your ears in the wrong way.
Oh my gosh.
Unless it's ESPN and Stephen A. Smith, in which case you like are fine with it, and that hits my ears, and I'm like, I cannot get out of this house fast enough.
I think I've accepted that the sports sort of thing is theater, and they're just arguing like who's going to win the Super Bowl for the 100th time. But some degrees or some ways, Housewives is theater, and I'm like that felt manufactured when I'm watching these fights. And other times I'm like that fight looked real.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to know sometimes.
Okay, rapid fire, go.
Going to concerts.
I had that on my list too. Love.
Yeah, we're biased. Going to concerts, great, amazing.
Playing Zen games on my phone.
I'm voting no. I think the Zen games on your phone before bed, I think it does more harm than good. We'll have to hash that out in another episode.
Yeah,
I think we could have a good debate about that. Yeah, I think you being on your phone late at night keeps you awake more often.
Not wrong.
Sending memes to everyone I know or videos.
Love that. Yeah, I say pro. Connecting-ish.
Generally.
Listening to podcasts, audiobooks.
Oh, helpful. Big fan.
Mm-hmm.
Huge fan of it. Gosh, what do I have left here? Going to the movies.
Yeah, pro.
Bro.
Not my thing, but for you, yes.
Love
agreed. Let's see. What didn't we talk about? Putting my phone on do not disturb and not talking to anyone when I need to protect my energy.
Pro, huge pro. I have for you. Here are some things I have for you. Taking an hour shower.
Yes.
Not good for the environment. Not good for our water bill. Conserve, care about the environment. But occasionally you take very long showers.
Yes.
Not putting you on blast, but we all got habits there.
That's an everything shower, babe. Get with the program.
I have heard this term. You also like to have a meeting.
Yes.
You love a meeting. That is your most toxic corporate babe quality of like, I would love to have a business meeting. And I'm like, oh, you love a meeting.
I do love a meeting.
It's about the organization. It's about the coming together. It's about getting on the same page.
And accountability.
You just love a meeting.
Yeah. What else do you have on your list for me?
Creating a vision board.
Uh-huh.
Another like very basic girl, but it works for you.
It does.
I'm not a hater of vision boards generally, of like if it helps you sort of focus and gets you excited for the future. And your vision boards are definitely not like all materialism of like, no judgment, but not like I want this bag per se. It's like, it's about a lot of things that you sort of put in your life that it does something for you. And I know some people can hate on vision boards too much.
What else you got?
I got beach sit for you.
Yep.
You're a beach sitter.
Huge.
I hate sitting at the beach. Hate.
We both love the beach, but very different energies.
Don't interact at the beach. You sit in that chair and never move for 90 minutes to 2 hours. I'm out riding on dolphins and like finding seashells, building sandcastles by myself sometimes. Yeah, the last one I have for you is, watching reruns. Mm-hmm. Gilmore Girls, Sex and the City, watching shows that you've seen 1,000 times.
Yes.
I think it generally helps you.
Yeah. I think that puts me to sleep.
Yeah.
That is like one of the only things that helps put me to sleep. Yeah, that was pretty good. Okay. On my list for you, I had a lot of things that we actually talked about, so I probably know you way too well. Um, yeah, going out, soaking up the energy of spaces, doom scrolling for sure, watching ESPN, distracting me. Um,
Well, then you just love it distracting me, ruining my life. I'm a huge distraction. I'm
you
not.
are the worst distraction.
Old coworkers of mine would probably say the same. I will pop in and bother you, unless
At
your
all
door's shut.
times. Yeah. Um, concerts, live music, going for walks, yoga, beach, ice cream. I know is always the one when you are not doing your best. I know that you crave ice cream, so that's your my indicator that you are needing some extra love and attention. Um,
It's 100% valid and
right.
accurate. Gosh.
And little getaways.
Yeah, we love ourselves a little getaway. We do a lot of like, we're going to stay at this hotel 30 minutes away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some people call them staycations. It's tricky in South Florida because you're like, we don't live in Miami. We
Mm-hmm.
love the little 30, 40-minute drive down to Miami, get a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And that Florida has a lot of that. You can drive like an hour here, an hour there, and you're in a different little town setup or a big town setup. And
Yeah.
yeah, I love staying at places, especially if you do it in the summer. Here's a hack. You want to come to Florida, come in the summer. Oh, it's too hot. Hotel prices,
Half.
nothing.
Yeah.
No, way more than half.
Yeah.
Hotel prices, unbelievable. Like that same hotel, we stay at hotels for like $150 a night. Sure. But they're really nice hotels. That same hotel in December, January, February, March, $1,000 a night.
Mm-hmm.
Lord have mercy.
Wild difference.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
Come in the summer, fry yourself. But it's cheap. It's cheap. We'd love to see you down here. Hey, listener questions.
Woo!
Let's hit them.
Yeah.
Lexi from California. Have you had clients who are dancers, especially those who are competitive or in ballet companies? Being a dancer, I find that we deal with a lot more self-confidence related issues that lead to bigger issues later, as well as the environment sometimes being toxic.
Mm-hmm.
When I first read this question, thank you so much, Lexi. Awesome question. I immediately thought I have worked, there's one dancer I worked with in the past that came to mind, but I've worked with a number of gymnasts,
Mm-hmm.
couple ice skaters,
Mm-hmm.
wrestlers. And what I've noticed and why I'm naming this is sports activities where body image, commenting on weight,
Mm-hmm.
is a huge part of the culture
Yeah.
and how damaging it can be. Not for everyone, but certainly can be. What's your experience of this been?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I had similar sentiments of there are certain sports or athletic activities that are very much weight and body image oriented, where it is the norm to talk regularly and have coaches commenting on your body and picking apart every little aspect of your body. I myself was a figure skater when I was younger, and every single coach comments on your body. Like it's just the norm. There's no like taboo subject when it comes to other people commenting on your body. And so, yeah, I think especially when you are a competitive, in a competitive sport like that, you're in that environment so frequently. And so that environment that you're in, being so competitive and having the comments all the time, yes, can very much make you programmed to be very aware of those aspects. And there are for sure implications when it comes to body image, eating, disordered eating, etc.
Yeah, self-confidence, self-esteem. As a psychologist, again, I can't speak for everyone, but I feel generally concerned when someone's soaked into that environment over the long haul.
Yeah.
A difference that I've seen is people who can sort of compartmentalize and sort of be like, this is the sport, but this is me
Right.
as a human with a body that's always growing, changing, fluctuating. And that's normal. It's not good or bad or anything. It's normal
Right.
to have sort of a changing body.
Mhm.
But, and again, it's not people's fault per se. I've certainly had clients where they were just repeatedly
Mhm.
told, because of this thing with your body, it's harming you and therefore it is bad.
Mhm.
Like, it's not allowing you to do this technique. It's not allowing you to do this thing, and it's messing you up and it's holding you back. It's just really concerning when you're a therapist and psychologist.
Yeah, it's hard to, unlearn a lot of the things that you are consistently really reinforced and conditioned to believe are true about your body and what you're putting into it and the beliefs that you have or hold about your physical appearance. So I think therapy for people in those environments is a lot of unlearning and really trying to reinforce, again, like Justin was saying, the other identities and your identity outside of that sport.
And yeah, really trying to cross out like that, because you weren't able to do this technique or your coach criticized it or whatever it might be, that doesn't equate to your self-worth as a human.
Right.
And it can start to feel that way when you're doing the gymnastics, 24/7, and you're doing competitive ballet, and someone's trying to push you to do something and they're saying what's holding you back is your body or this or that. It's hard to keep that separate.
Right.
But yeah, especially matriculating out and really trying to get to a source of like what is normal is a lot of the and healthy and those such important conversations, because again, what can be normal in a certain world like ballet or gymnastics or wrestling doesn't mean that's healthy or good for us generally. And that's why, again, we get concerned and these conversations are so important.
For sure. Great question.
Abby from Montana. I was wondering more about what long-term recovery looks like specifically from self-harm as a coping method, but this could apply to other areas of mental health, specifically the area of relapses. And how do therapists approach that? What is a good way to view it when someone has been in recovery for a long time, then has a relapse? What are good ways to take care of yourself in the midst of that?
Great question. Love this question, actually. I think relapse is a really important thing to talk about, especially like as you are working through maintaining that, right? So maintenance does not mean that you will never have a quote unquote relapse, right? It means that you are in a place where this behavior or this action, whatever it is, whether it's self-harm, whether it's a substance, whether it is, any other type of behavior that you're trying to reduce, if that is being reduced, especially significantly, that is very much what we would consider remission. And we talk about relapse as a very normal part of that process because these are the things that feel most comfortable a lot of times. So looking at relapse as, okay, this is an opportunity to use different coping tools and try to work through moving forward from that, not shaming yourself, not blaming yourself for those behaviors or for, I think a lot of times people think that they're reverting back to old behaviors. And my perspective on it is look at how long you have gone without that, right? And let's really focus on, okay, now that, that behavior occurred again, that's okay. You're a human. That's what happens. That's a very normal part of that process. And how do we now move forward and use the coping tools that you have learned that feel good for you to also then move forward and see how much longer we can go without that behavior again.
I completely agree. It's pivoting back to what are the things that we know are helpful.
Right.
What are the things that lift us up? What are the things that add to our life? Because a lot of times with these behaviors, we can conceptualize and understand why we've done them, but we can also hold why they're harmful or sort of hold us back in different ways. But if you have the other things that you strengthened, exercise, socialization, gratitude practice, it could be so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can pivot back to those things and again, have the compassion,
Mm-hmm.
because it's about knowing the thing that a lot of us can sort of get a little on is this idea of sort of I have to do this perfectly,
Mm-hmm.
because it builds this Mount Everest that if you take any sort of tumble, well, it's all over.
Right.
I don't believe that philosophically.
Mm-mm.
I don't believe that at all. It's about holding a curiosity of, yeah, what's led me back into this relapse? Because if we can stay curious,
Mm-hmm.
we can keep going forward on the path we've been on, even if we take some stumbles and fall at times. But the judgment, the shame, my count of X number of days is over. I find none of those things helpful within the mode of psychotherapy.
Agreed.
And it's not to say they're not helpful for anyone, like counting in these sort of things. Sure, I can understand contexts where they are.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking about relapse, it's much more of stay curious, let the judgment go by, and think about and let's process what's led up to this. And what are all the things we bloomed and grown over the years, days, weeks, hours that we know are helpful.
Mm-hmm.
That's an awesome question. Last question here. Marwan from Egypt. Amazing. Again, always
I
get
love
excited
that.
to see where people are from. Do you ever feel disappointment in a client for any type of reason? Here's my thought. And I say this a lot because I think it's important. All of us have all our emotions. To say, and I would challenge a therapist that says, to say I've never felt disappointment sounds like the most unhuman thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I've had moments where, oh man, I'm a human being. But to say that the disappointment floods the room or what we're going to do next as a therapist, that is the nuance for me. But I do get a little cringy, if I saw on social media or other things where people almost make themselves out to be a robot as a therapist.
Right.
I don't believe you. We all experience disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
But as a therapist, I feel like it's my job. If I'm feeling a sense of disappointment, what might that be communicating? Maybe I was really excited for the client in this way. Maybe I feel like I'm letting them down, or I sort of failed them in a sense. But we need all our emotions to navigate and get curious about what's arising, what's coming up, or where to go next. But the thing I would agree on is if your therapist's disappointment washes over the room and derails it, that's not good therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see utility in that. But you're asking us the question. I'm not going to sit here and say, no, never. I've never felt a single moment of disappointment with a client. What that disappointment communicates? Oh, it communicates all sorts of things. And sometimes it's about me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think, again, we all as therapists are humans. We experience, hopefully, the full range of emotions, right? So if and when those moments do come up, I would say they're not frequent, but
No.
if and when those moments do come up, it's usually communicating something of that either we had felt about someone's situation or a behavior or something like that, where it's a moment that comes up that we can then be curious about and think about what's bringing that up for me. And most often it is what Justin was saying of either I felt like I had either done something where I didn't help this client enough, or I failed this client in a way, or that, I was hopeful for something and those were my expectations that were, mismanaged in that way. But oftentimes it's just this like momentary blip, and then we recognize, okay, this is where that's coming from, or this person is also a human, that this is where this is coming from for them. So I would agree, like, we as therapists are also human, we feel all of the emotions, but that should never color the therapeutic dynamic. And that should never be something that you feel, especially regularly, from your therapist.
I absolutely agree. Disappointment is part of life. You get excited about things. Sometimes you have expectations, which can be good or bad. They can be helpful and unhelpful in certain circumstances. But I think the thing that behind this question maybe you're asking is like, does my therapist like give up on me? Does my therapist ever feel like, gosh, this is hopeless? Unequivocally, no.
Agreed.
Even the times I can think of like, oh yeah, I definitely felt disappointment when a client told me this or that. Never once. It's like your brain as a therapist is on to the next path. Okay, this happened. Let's process this area. Let's talk about maybe what led up to this. Let's get to the emotion of that. Let's talk about how this relates to your pattern in general. Like, you're on to the next experimentation, the next, however you see yourself as a therapist, the next path to venture down. Like, there's just this movement that occurs. And that's where I think the difference in some ways of like, is the therapy good? Is it not so good? Is like, I don't see much utility in just bathing in disappointment. No. Like, I don't know how that would guide you forward. I don't know how that would help you pivot. I don't know how that helps you move on to the sort of next thing.
Right. And I think especially when it comes to hope, right? For me, there is no amount of like, there are endless possibilities in terms of the things that we can do and try for you to navigate through whatever it is that you're going through or feeling. And for me, there is never a moment where I'm like, well, this client's never going to change, or this is never going to work, or those are thoughts that never cross my mind. And I've actually had a lot of those conversations with clients who might have had patterns from previous dynamics or relationships where people had either made them feel like they gave up on them, or felt like the expectations, they couldn't meet their expectations. And I think it's actually really helpful to process through that with your therapist if that is a concern, because I've had such fruitful discussions with clients who are like, are you going to fire me if I don't X, Y, or Z? Or are you, do you feel like I'm ever going to get better because these people in my life had made me feel like I just am hopeless? And I think those are the real great conversations that you can have within your therapeutic relationship.
Absolutely. You can process anything. And I've felt as the client before, like sometimes we project our disappointment onto our therapist. I've done that in my own therapy.
Totally.
Of I'm disappointed. Now I feel like you're disappointed, which that might not be the way the therapist is feeling. Well, hey, we so appreciate your questions, hanging out with us. Therapists are human too. We're always exploring, experimenting, pivoting, trying to find what works for us, and sometimes getting into activities that aren't so helpful. It's helpful for me to talk out things I do, and not everything's about being this optimizing sort of quote perfect person, but it's being curious about the things we do, that we put our energy into, and how it impacts us. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us. We love a rate, a review, drop this in your group chat, comments, and we'll see you next time right here on Drop In.
Bye.
Peace.